So in this lesson, this is kind of what we'll be using to create our first lesson or first interactive course or project in Godot. This is just a PowerPoint file. I usually use a PowerPoint to kind of mock up what I want to do. It helps me develop later on, exactly what I was thinking, and it helps me create the resources that I need for that project. So in this course, we're just going to be doing a couple just text-based slides. The text will be animated in along with narrated or synced with narration. And later on in another lesson, we'll add interactive elements such as a tab interaction, a card flip interaction, and also a click and reveal interaction. And then also at the end of the series here, we're going to be adding a quiz with just a couple different questions that you can kind of create a template from and use later on. And kind of this will be an idea of what we'll develop. So you've got the text animated in with some narration. We have a menu system here. You can navigate back and forth, pause the interaction or pause the presentation, replay it if you need to, and also a progress bar. So this is what we'll be working on, just a couple of the first slides, just to get the idea of how Godot works and how to create simple 2D graphics, and also how to animate them. The course player will be later on. It's not too hard to build, but it's got some complications that we want to make sure we have a good foundation first before we start working on that. All right, so the first thing we have to do is get our hands on Godot. So if you go to godotengine.org, you can see that there's a download latest here. Click on that. It will take you to one more window where it asks you to download either a 64-bit version of it or one that supports .NET for those hardcore developers. And if your system is a 32-bit version, then it's also here at the bottom. So when you click on that, it'll ask if you wanted to make a donation. That's your choice. And when you download it, you don't need to install it. The instructions are right here. All you do is extract it and run. So let me just show you real quick. So I have a special folder for all my Godot projects, and you'll get this right here, just an executable file. You click on that, open it, and the first window you should see is this right here, this project list. It lists all your projects that you have worked with Godot, or at least have a link to the folders on your system. And to start, we will go ahead and click on Create New Project. I will title this Lesson 1. And I didn't mention this before, but all the let me see, all the folders for all the files for this course right here for this lesson is available on the link provided below at the GitHub repository. So if you want to build along, I would advise you to go ahead and download those images and audios bits and the PowerPoint presentation, just so you can follow along. All right, so this is going to be the first window you come to. The middle window here is your development area. This is where you create your scenes, as Godot calls them. Godot calls these little, it's hard to say because a scene can be a small image or an entire interactive experience. But for the purposes of this lesson, and to just keep it within the instructional designer industry terms, we're going to call it slides. We're just going to be building small, simple slides, nothing too fancy, nothing too big. So this is where you develop your slides areas. Right now it's in 3D, but if you go up to the top, you can click it on 2D, and you can see a kind of a gray screen right now with a little blue line, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. So you got 2D, 3D. You can click on scripts. So when you're working on the scripts here on your programming code, it'll show up here. Game is just if you're developing a game, you can play it in here as well. But the asset library is really cool. A lot of people out there, a lot of Godot developers start creating tools and assets and codes that they share, and you can download them here. So if you need something to work with a controllers, you can. There's tools for that. I've downloaded scripts and tools to help me create a little bit more complicated projects. But this is a great asset right here. All right, and let's go back to 2D. All right, so over here on the left, this is your panel for whatever. It holds all the objects in your current scene. So just like PowerPoint has that selection panel, if you go to selection panel here, it has all the items that are in your scene. That's how this behaves right here. It just asks you, how do you want to start first? You got to create a root node. That way it determines whether this is going to be a 2D scene or slide, a 3D slide, or a user interface kind of slide. Down here is your file systems. This stores all your files that you're using in the program, but not necessarily on the scene. Kind of, it's just like a Windows Explorer where you can navigate to look at all your files. To import, all you need to do is drag your objects in here, and it will automatically be added to your Godot project file or folder. Or vice versa, you can drag it onto your Windows Explorer side, and it will automatically update in here as well, which is great. Inspector, it doesn't show you anything right now because I have nothing selected, but depending on what you select, it will show you the different properties that that item has, just like in PowerPoint. When you click over here, you can click on kind of like formatting. It has, each of these have little different types of properties, and that's what Inspector does. Node and history, we'll deal with those at a much later time. But let's go ahead and get started though. I know we've been talking for quite a bit. So if you look at your 2D scene right now, you can see that this blue line here is going to be your window area, your visual area. Anything outside that window or that blue line will not be displayed unless you have a certain, if you're embedding one scene into another, then it might display. Kind of like in, again, PowerPoint. Anything in this gray or this background area won't show up. This is your slide area. There's slides. Now, the default size is pretty small, and I like to increase it. That's one of the first things I like to do is make sure that the slide size is a little bit bigger. So if you go to project settings, go to window, and on viewport width, I like to put 1920, and height, I like to put 1080, because that's kind of the standard size now for most desktops. So I'm going to go ahead and press close, and that's the first step we want to take. And if you didn't see this, it made this a little bit bigger. I got to zoom out now. That very thin blue line is what we're going to be working at. So we are going to start developing slide 2 right here. Not the title slide yet. We'll develop that later. So slide 2, this is what we're gonna be working on. All right, so we will start with a user interface scene, and if you see that, it creates a kind of a box around this whole thing, and that's what we need right now. So we created a control node. Now if we do that again, let's see. All right, so we can use user interface nodes. It's these nodes, if you look right here, there's the control nodes have a variety of different other nodes underneath it, or is in a hierarchy, and each of these take on the properties of the ones above it. So code edit will take the properties of text edit, which will take the properties of control. Control has just a few properties, like you can manipulate, like transform. You can increase the size, decrease the size, rotate it, skew it. And these other ones have all those properties but more. So we'll talk about that later. I know it's a little bit confusing, and I highly suggest going on YouTube and looking up either UI tutorials or control node tutorials for Godot. A lot of them are really good, and they'll help clear up how to use them. So the first one we're going to do is we're going to create a user interface, and which will create a control node, which is the root node, and this is the properties it has. So what we need to do is, well, we want to create a background for this. Right now is kind of just a gray background. It's not going to show anything. So what we need to do is go ahead and add another node. Well, we want to add a panel node. Panel node has certain properties, and one of them is a actual background color. So you can either stretch this out to make it fit the blue area, or what you can do is there's a little anchor preset here, and you can use a full rectangle. And if you look at all of these, what they do is just resize it so that they can fit, like top wide will go all the way to the top and across. If you go if you do center top, it goes to the center, and the reason why it squishes to like 0, or to basically a 0 width, is because there's nothing in it right now, so it doesn't have to fit anything. But we want to do a full rectangle because we want to make this our background. And if you double click on panel, we'll rename it, and we want to definitely change the color. Our mock-up is white, so we will do that. Now, there's a difference between theme and theme overrides. We'll discuss theme at a later time once you can clearly see what it does and how powerful it is. But right now, we're going to go on theme overrides, open up styles, and on the where it says panel, click on empty and click on new style box flat. So now you can see a gray color here. If you click on the style box flat right there that you just created, it opens up more properties. So on the background color, we are going to change this to white, and that's all we need to do right now. This is going to be our background. So what we need to do now is I want to create that header here. So we are going to create another panel. Oh, and let me just show you what I did. All right, so you always want to click on the root node of that you're creating items for, unless it's going to be a child of, and I'll show you what I mean by child of and just right now actually. So click on the root node. You can either click on add child or Control A, which is a shortcut for it, and then panel's already highlighted, so we're going to create that, and we are going to change this to header. All right, so we're just going to eyeball this right now and move this around. We don't need to manipulate this right here because we don't need to do that right now. And if you see this, these little green markers, those are the anchor points. Right now it's on the top left corner, so if anything moves around here or gets stretched out, it will stretch out from here. And again, I can show you that later on when we've got something to actually demonstrate. But right now we're just going to leave that there, and we are going to also create a new style for this, a theme override styles, new style box flat, and we are just going to make this a little darker gray. Okay, so we're going to create the text now for this. So select the header, and we're going to create a child node in here, and we are going to add a label. So if you look at here, right now it's empty because there's no text in here, and if you look over on the right, or I'm sorry, on the left, the label is underneath the header. Now you can move this around. You can make it a child of a root node or the control node here, and but we're going to go ahead and put it under the label. And if you move the label, well, you can't see anything now because there's no text, but let me put in some text in here. And this is how you put text in a label. On the right, you can't put it inside here. You have to go to the right on the inspector panel, and there's this field called text, and you put in text there, and you can see it slightly there. All right, so if I move the header around, the label gets moved around because it's a child of it. It kind of moves around with it. But if I move the label, or select the label, I can move that independently. So that's what it means to be a child of, and header is the parent, label is the child, and the child will always follow the header around. So even if I can increase the size of this, and it shouldn't affect the label, but the position will. All right, so right now this is supposed to say introduction because we are working on the first slide, and of course that's not going to be the text size we want, so we're going to go on theme overrides, font sizes, enable the font size, and I think 38, no, we're going to make it like I think 64, no, 98, yeah, that's big enough right there. All right, so we're kind of eyeballing a lot of this, so all right, so that's good. We made the header and the label. Now we want to add that image here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the project folder, and the images, I'm going to drag the image into here. So let me show you real quick. So yeah, I'm just gonna, these are all the lesson or the project files. If you downloaded them, look at introduction and just drag it over, and it's updated here. So what I like to do is I like to keep my folders or files organized. So all my images are going to go into an images folder. So I'm going to click this, drag that over, and there we go. So I'm going to go and drag and drop this into the scene or slide, and it automatically creates a 2D sprite. If you hover over it, you can see under type it says sprite 2D. It's a sprite 2D image. Now you can mix 3D, 2D, control nodes all together, but you do kind of have to do it a certain way, but most of all it accepts all these different node types together. The only exception is 3D. That is a certain way you have to mix it together, which we won't be going over this lesson, so don't worry about that. So on this right here, you can stretch it out. If you hold shift, it will stretch together at the same size, and we just keep it there. Now I find this a little bit distracting here because I don't know exactly where the outside is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new panel right here. Actually, I don't need a panel. I can use a container. All right, so we're going to delete the panel, create a container right here, and this is just an empty box basically. So it's a child of the control node, and what we need to do is we're going to make this full rectangle so that it's the full size of the slide, and then we're going to drag the image into the container so that it's a child of it. So it's still showing, but if you click on container and go to layout over here, click on clip contents, and it will automatically clip whatever's outside of the box. So that makes it easier to see what's inside and what isn't inside of the slide area. All right, so now we need text for this. All right, so let's go ahead and look up rich text label. All right, so there it is, and we're just going to resize this a little bit, and I'm going to copy and paste the first sentence here, and remember this is where you add the text at, and paste it here. Now we can't see anything because it's white on white, so we got to change some styles here. So let's scroll down to theme overrides. Let's go to colors first so we can see what's going on. And oh, actually, I think it's full. Oh, no, where is the fonts? Okay, default color here. All right, so look for default color. If you need to stretch yours out, go ahead and do that. I was looking for something a little bit different, so that's why I was a little confused there. All right, so and now we need to make it bigger. So now you've got different options here, and same thing up here. It's not just a simple simple default color. There's options for different type of settings. You got a font selected color. That means when this section is selected or this text is selected by the user, which you can make interactive, it will change to that color. But right now we're just going to deal with default color. And same thing with let me see, font sizes. We just want normal font size now, and this was 90 something. So let's see if we can make a 64. That might be a little bit too big. And if you can see that it creates an auto scroll button here. So if I kind of had this like this when I was exporting it, it will automatically create a scroll button. Actually, let's go ahead and try that real quick. So let's go ahead and save our scene, because right now it is unsaved. This will be slide 1, slide 01. And again, I like to keep my stuff organized, so I'm going to create a slides folder, and it automatically goes in there. Click save, and let's go ahead and click on preview. Up here you'll see a preview buttons. One is to run the entire project. What you can do is you can set a main slide as your starting point, but we're not going to do that now. So we're just going to click on run current scene, or you can click on type F6 and it should run it. So here we go. So you see it automatically creates the scroll here, and you can see what you've developed so far as well, so that we can kind of see whether you like it or not. All right, so we don't want it this big, so it's a little bit bigger than I was looking for. 54 kind of looks good. We'll see how it compares when we add the other text here. And another option here, if we go through run some other options as well, you can do fit content. So if your boxes are automatically here, we can do fit content, which will eliminate the need for that. You can't make it smaller than what it is. You can make it wider and then smaller, but it will always fit the content and won't automatically cut things off. So that might be a good option to have on at all times. Let me see, auto wrap. Make sure that that's on. And right now I think that's really it. All right, so let's go ahead and duplicate this one. You can right click on the rich text label. Sorry about that. And click on duplicate, or you can do Control D. All right, select it and Control D, and move it down, and we can copy the rest of it. I just want to do this line by line, or you can just, copy everything and then just paste it here, and we can split it up here as well. All right, so now this might be a little bit hard to see over here if you have a bunch of text, but you can click on this expand button here and it will expand everything. So you can, I'm going to cut this out, make sure that it's up there, and it won't go smaller because there is another space there, and there we go. So let's control this here 2 more times because we got 2 more things to add, and I'm gonna make sure. All right, and I'm just pasting the rest of the text that we need. All right, so now that we have everything, it's a little bit too big. So I'm gonna select everything, and as long as everything's around kind of the same, they will all adjust. So I'm gonna put 48. All right, so that's a little bit better right there. So let's, well, we need to add a little symbol here for bullet point, but we'll do that in a little bit because I want to show you this, what I'm going to be doing next here. All right, so Godot doesn't have standard text formatting options like you would in PowerPoint, where you have your bold and italics and underline symbols here, or your options. What Godot uses is called BBC code, and if you let me look it up real quick. If you look up BBC or BB code Godot, you'll go directly to the documentary, which is or documentation, which is excellent, by the way. It is a little sometimes tough to read because it's made by developers for developers, but well, some of it's pretty good. They do have tutorials on there. All right, so BBC code is, I'm not sure if you've ever used old HTML where you can format text by using like a open brackets and or brackets and then a B and then a slash B. But that's how we format text to make things bold, make things underline, strike through, and there's a bunch of other stuff you can do in here. You can add images, hints, let me see, background colors, foreground colors, all sorts of stuff here. So what we are going to do is we are going to change serious and fade, or yeah, serious and fatal to bold, because we want to emphasize those. And so B, or brackets B, and then brackets slash B. And you don't see anything now because we don't have the BB code enabled button highlighted or enabled now. So we will do that in a little bit. So B and slash B. All right, so won't you press OK? Now to enable that, we click on this here. You can see the code here as well because it's not enabled, doesn't treat it as BB code. But when we turn it on, you can see that it changes. Now it's a lot smaller because if you remember on theme overrides, there is an option here for bold font size. So when we click on that, we can make it the same size as the other words, and there it goes. So that's how you format text. Yes, not easy, but it can be quite powerful if you know how to use it right. So for this right here, we want to add bullet points. So it would be a unordered list, which is UL. UL. We don't need the ending slash because we don't need to end it here. This is the only line that has it. And again, remember to add the space or the enable the BB code right here. And we're going to put a uppercase U. And I'm just going to copy this so it makes it easier. And remember, enable. And oops, and uppercase U. So now it looks properly formatted. All right, so okay, so now what I want to do is I want to make sure these are all lined up. So if you go to layout, under control, the control tab here, there's layout, open up transform, and there's position here. The size deals with the size of it, position deals with where it's placed. Now I could type in 37 if I want to make them all 37, but nothing will happen because there's already one with 37. We need to make a change with an actual change in it. So I type in 35 and they all line up here. Now I can also go back to 37 if I wanted, but 35 is fine. So now we have our first slide, and let's go and take a look at it. And there it is. So that is your first slide. Not too bad. All right, and I think I just moved them all, so let's go and move them back. All right, let me see. 35. There we go. All right, so now we need to do another one, right? So make sure we save this, and it automatically saves as well every time if you make a change. Let's just make a real quick change here with header. Oh, now one thing that's kind of annoying is if anything's in front of it. This is from the bottom up is front. So these right here are in front of the items here. So if I wanted to click on the label, I would have a tough time because the this container, which yes is blank, but it acts as kind of like a transparent blank. It blocks it, and I can try to click on label, or I'm sorry, header, and click on it as well to move it. But again, I'll click on the label. So since it really doesn't matter that whether the placement of this is, I can move this back, or I can also hide it over here. This toggles the visibility. So now I can just click on this and make a small change if I wanted to, and you can see this little symbol that says this is not saved. There's been changes, but if you click on preview, it automatically saves it. So that's one good thing about that is it will automatically act as a save, and you can not lose any of your work. Okay, so you can keep this up. We can create a new scene, and we can go through the same process, control, adding the panel, adding background, adding text and things like that. We don't need to save that. Or we can go to our slides, right click on this and duplicate. Let's go ahead and name it slide 2. And then go through the same process, but if you wanted to change anything, you'd have to also update this as well. So what I will show you is how to create a kind of a slide master. So you can just use that as your template. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and create a duplicate of the first slide that I made. But I will create, I will name it slide master. All right. So I'm going to open that, and I'm going to try to get rid of everything I don't need. The image I'm going to keep on there because I'm going to show you how easy it is to replace this image and keep the placement of it if that's what you want. The rich text label, I'm going to get rid of all of them except for one because I like the settings that that the BBC code is already enabled and that the theme overrides are already set. So that way we can keep those. So what we don't need to change anything. We'll be able to change that easily. So we're gonna keep it like this, just to a minimum of the image, the label or the header, and also one rich text label as well. So this is our slide master. So what we need to do to use it as a template, let's go and save it. To create new slides from it, we need to right click on it and click on new inherited scene, and you can see that it creates a new scene up here and all the items are gold. Now if I try to delete any of this, it won't let me delete it, but I can move it around. So if I wanted to move this, let's say all the way a little bit up, except for, or actually maybe a little bit lower, and I can. But I don't want to do that actually. If I do it from the header or from the slide master and save it, it will automatically update on the one that I created a scene from. So again, if it's gold, that means this is an inherited scene, that it inherits properties from another scene. And if you click on here, it will take you to the scene that it inherits from. So we're going to name this slide 01 actually, because we want to make sure that this one is an inherited scene from the slide master. We just need to make sure we copy over our text. So I copied over the text. I have 2 of the fatal ones. I don't need 2 of those, so either I can hide the other one there, or just delete this one here because I can delete that one. Alright, so that is kind of too low, isn't it? Let's go ahead and move that back up. And click save, and everything moves back up. So what we're going to do is we're going to close this so that we can save over it. Alright, control save. Click on the one we want to save over, and we want to overwrite it. Yes. So now we have a slide template and a new slide inherited from those. So we can start creating our second slide. So again, click on slide master, click on new inherited scene, and it'll create a new one. And we are going to go ahead and do this one real quick. Copy this, and we're going to need a couple of these labels because we want to break it up. Duplicate, duplicate, and duplicate. Alright, so for this right here, we're gonna well, actually, let's make sure we spread this out, that way we can see the changes. Alright, for this one, we'll paste all the text that we copied, but I also want to have the underline, or I'm sorry, unordered, or yeah, ordered list, so that way it shows up as 1, 2, and 3, and 4. So there we go. It starts showing up there. It's a little bit behind this, but you can see the it is creating it. So we're gonna actually copy this just to make it easier and put it over here, because we are going to separate all these lines out. So I'm going to copy these three, cut them out, push OK, and click on this and copy the ones we cut, delete the ones we don't need, click on the next one, remove the ones we don't need, click on the next one. Actually, that is something that I did want to show. Alright, so one thing that I haven't been able to figure out yet is how to start the numbers, or how to do start it from like a number 2. I think it's in the code documentation, but I wasn't able to make it work. So that's I'll take a crack at that later on. So I'm going to go ahead and remove this, and then add the number myself. Oops, that's 4. And that one is 3. And that one is 2. And that one is 1. Alright, so now that we have them all separated. Now the reason why we're separating them is that way we can animate them individually later on. Alright, and I do not like orphans there. Where it ends with a single word on the next line. That's something that kind of that's a personal peeve of mine. So I extended it a little bit, make sure we got room, and then make sure that they're all lined up together. So I'm going to actually put 35 is what we had last time on the other one, right? Okay, so that way they all line up. Now for the image, I'm going to drag the other image that we're using for this slide in here, and all we need to do is click on the image or the sprite 2D here, and where it says texture over here, we're going to drag this over that way, and then it replaces it just right there. Now you can still move it around, and this kind of works only if it's the same size. If it's something bigger, then it will keep the scale and the center point, but it will be bigger. I can show you that real quick. I think this one's a little bit bigger here. So this picture 1 here, if I move this over, you can see how big it is. So that would have to be scaled down. So that's why it's kind of important to kind of keep all the images the sizes you want according to the slide or to the project. So that makes it easier later on. Alright, so now we have these right here. Let's go ahead and save this as slide 02. And now we have, we forgot this, objectives. Okay. All right. Let me see. Let me see. All right. So let's take a quick look at it. And all right, this one is done. All right. Let's work on one more slide, and then we'll break into themes, and I'll show you how that is a really powerful tool. All right. So we are going to create a new slide from the slide master. Again, right click on it, new inherited scene. And let's take a look at what we're going with on this right here. Okay, and we can see that the header is a little bit different from this, a little bit more impactful there. So we're gonna go and copy this, and also a new image here. We're gonna make sure that we get that into the updated into the project folder there. All right, so copy this. We need to make duplicates of this, so let's go and control D, and move this down and move this down a bit. So we are going to delete that and make sure there's no space afterwards. And okay, and now the next one. Oh, actually, let's remove that first line. And remove that last line, and actually we want to make sure that there's no empty spaces back there because of the fit content. That way you can keep it to only the text that's showing up and not empty spaces. All right, so now we do this one in here. And you see that there's an empty space. I cannot make this smaller, but that's okay because it's the last one there. All right, and now, we're gonna grab that chart and bring it over to the images folder, and we are going to replace the image here. And I think this one's gonna be a lot bigger, so we're gonna have to manipulate that. All right, so now we got that image here, and remember to keep the aspect together. Hold shift when you're moving this around or resizing it. All right, so it's about there is good. So we need to move this over here, and this gets resized to about a third of it. Again, we're all eyeballing this. No need to be perfectly exact on this yet. And then title is why is preventing falls from ladders important? Okay, so now with the label, I cannot make it smaller or make this box smaller because it's kind of all on one line, and that gets changed over here on the labels, on the label settings. Right now auto wrap is off. We want to do word smart, and we can now decrease it here. So we're going to keep the same font size and just have it there. And now we're going to move this so it fits better. All right, and right there, okay. All right, because we want to make sure we got plenty of room, because we are going to be adding buttons at the bottom later on. That's something we need to check on the other slide as well. All right, we gotta move this up a bit. Make sure it's visible, and there we go. All right, that's a little bit too much room. We'll see. We'll move it around once we add the buttons for navigation. And this is, let's see, let's move this up a bit. And slide 2, same thing, because we do want to make room for those buttons later on. All right, make sure we save this one right here. This is slide 3. And, all right, so okay, so now we've gotten this far. We've gotten 3 slides, but what happens if we have 7, 8, 9, 20 slides, and we want to make a change to it? Maybe the fonts. We can go over here, go to the font sizes, font styles, and make changes individually, but we'd have to do that for every slide, and that would be annoying. Kind of like some of the programs now that you have to do that currently. You got to go through every slide and update it. Yes, there's a format painter that can help you, but it still gets annoying. All right, so what we are going to do is we're going to create a theme for our project, and that will make things a lot easier. So let's go ahead and we can do this. Actually, let's do this from the slide master. That way the other slides inherit it. So to create a theme, just select an object and click on theme here, and where it says empty, click on that and click on new theme. Now when we click on it, on the theme, the new one you created, it will open up a new panel down here. And what we need to do is we need to add what we want to theme. It's not going to just create a theme for everything. You have to actually add what you want to have a theme for. So what I mean is themes can only you can make it so that it only applies to certain things. Like if you only want rich text labels and labels to adopt this theme, or only you only need to create what the look of is for those items, not everything. But down here is also a preview of the themes you're creating, and so this is a great way just to see and make sure it looks good if you don't have something selected, so you can work on things that you don't have selected. But what we're going to only stick to is the stuff that we have on our slide so far. All right, so what we need to do is we need to add a new type to the theme list. So this is a rich text label, so we're going to look for a rich text label. All right, so now that we have that, you can see it's selected here, and this is the only item we have here so far. Okay, and the buttons down here are the different properties that we can affect right here. So for the default color, we want that to be black. All right, so or not all the way black, but a kind of a slight gray. That's what I like anyways. But we don't really see any changes here because we still have our theme overrides. Now theme overrides does exactly what it says, is that it overrides the theme. You can make changes, like say you want something on a slide that's where it has red text only, but you don't want to create a new property or new type for it. You just want to do it for that slide, and that's it. So you could do theme overrides where it changes the color, or the same thing with sizes. But we want to use the default theme right now that we're creating. So we're gonna go ahead and uncheck everything that we've made changes to, bold font and normal font, and you can see that it's already going back to the theme that we're creating right now. We haven't changed the font sizes, but we're going to do that next. So click on the one where it has the two text on there that has the font sizes there, and we are going to click on normal font size, and I think it was 48. Yeah, 48. So as you can see, it updates all this right here, and the same thing will happen to all these other ones as soon as we do uncheck the theme overrides. Yeah, colors, default colors, font sizes, and styles. All right, and you can also select multiple items on your slides and uncheck all that stuff as long as they're the same. Colors, right? Default, font sizes, and that's it for that one. All right, so I just want to show you how it affects everything for themes, as long as you have them as a kind of a main selection or option in your slides. Okay, let me see. Where are we at? Oh, colors, default, font sizes, and styles. Okay. Now we don't see the changes yet because we haven't saved the slide master yet. Theme overrides, colors, default, and font sizes. Okay. But I think as soon as I save this, it should make everything else. Oh, no, it did not. All right, so I was mistaken on that, but let's keep working on, and I'll show you how we can make sure it's a universal change. I think it's because we don't have. Oh, yeah, because this one got changed, but not these, because you see that the gold, the difference between the gold and the white there. This one is inheriting the properties from the slide master. These are not. These are new. And for us to change that, we would have to click on theme, and then we can load the theme we're currently working on. First, we got to save it, or there's another option, and I'll show you kind of the both of them. So all right, now we got to do the bold font size because we have that option there. And you can also do bold italics, just in case you want to do bold italics in your thing, and italics font, and mono font. Oops, not 48. All right, so there is that right there. Okay, so now that we made some changes to this, let's explore real quick some other options. All right, so we have, and not all of the types will have these all these properties. Some of them will have different stuff, or none at all. We have the line separations here. We can make the lines between the text bigger. We can add an outline size, shadow, text highlights. This is the font. Let's go ahead and work on that now. Let me see. Yeah, let's find the fonts real quick. All right. So what I did was I went to Google Fonts. Let's type in Google Fonts here. And you can download fonts from them, which I mean I would probably advise you to do. Just choose something that you like. Roboto's nice. These are the more popular ones here, but if you want something specific, you can do filter through different options here. And then when you pick a font that you like, you can click on Get Font, and these are the fonts that I've downloaded before, and you can just download them here, extract them, and then import them, extract the folders or files over to your files here. And again, I'm going to create a new folder for fonts, and so now I've got Nodo sounds on here, and I'm going to look for the static one, and I'm going to look for regular. So for the normal font, I'm going to all you need to do is click on the plus sign, and it creates an empty one, and all you need to then just drag it over and then replace it. You can see that change there. We also have a bold font, so I'm going to click on the plus sign, and I'm going to put bold on there. And then the bold italics font, move that over. And you can keep doing them. I don't think I have anything in italics, but I'll make that change. I'll add that in later on, or for later on, just in case. And then we go there. So now we have the fonts we need for this file in here, and they should all update as well. All right, so let me see. Now that we've made changes, all right, let's go ahead and save this theme. Let's click on save, or save as, because we want to create a new theme. And we are going to go to the main folder here, click a new folder, create one. I'm going to put theme in there, and I'm going to say my theme. All right. And now that it's there, we can add it to the other files. We can go and click on theme. We could do quick load or load. Quick load is easier because it automatically looks for all the theme type files in your system, and you can click on that. Now again, we'll have to do this for every slide or every rich text label and anything that is affected by the theme, or we can do a different method, and I'm gonna show that right now because this is a lot easier. So what you can do is you can actually set the universal theme for your project. If you go to, let's go do that again, sorry, project settings, go to GUI here, and if this is not showing up, make sure that the advanced settings is being displayed. I may not have mentioned that. I'm not sure if that's, yeah. All right, so advanced settings, make sure that that's being shown up. It just shows up a lot more settings. Go to theme under GUI, and on custom, click on the little icon there, and click on the theme that you created, and click open. And we need to restart the system, and it should automatically save the changes we made. So let's go ahead and click on save and restart. And there we go. And there we go, everything's loaded up. And now all that other fonts that we didn't make changes to, for some reason my screen's a little bit smaller now. I'll reset that, but for everything, all the other fonts or all the other labels are automatically updated to the new theme. Alright, so let me reset this real quick. Alright, there we're back, and it's reset. It happens sometimes depending on which screen my the Godot application opens up in. Alright, so as I was saying, now we have everything already automatically created or automatically updated, and all the rich text labels are updated as well. And if we need to create a new one without duplicating an existing one, it will automatically have that theme applied to it. So that will make things a lot easier. And I couldn't show you this to you earlier because you wouldn't be able to see how effective that is. So when you click on these items, see, actually I don't think this one's let me check real quick. Alright, so as you can see, the original rich text label has the my theme on there, but the other ones don't, but they still take in the properties of any changes you made. And in the bottom here, you can make sure to it's under my theme right here, the theme that you're currently adjusting. So if you make any changes, like let's say you want to have 54, everything increases to 54, like on every slide that again that theme is applied to. But we're gonna keep it 48 right now. Oops. Which is great again, because if you have 20 slides and different rich text labels and all this other sort of objects, then it makes it easier to update. So then our next thing we want to update is the labels, because just because this has the Godot Sans font on it doesn't mean that this has it. So we need to add that as a new property or new type that we want to add this to the theme. So we click on label, and now we can make adjustments to the label. All right, so let's actually go to the slide master and make sure that it's applying that theme, and we need to actually undo the theme override. So let's just do the undo the font size there, and then boom, over here we had like 98, I believe it was, right? 98. Oops. I'll click the plus sign, or you can't make changes. All right, 98. All right, so let's go ahead and save it, and let's make sure we undo the theme overrides on the other ones. All right. Theme overrides. Oops, no. Right there. And it should automatically undo the overrides because we did it on the slide master. Okay. So another thing is the panels. We want to change the header panels. Let me see, make sure that that's done. All right. So I don't like this gray. I want it to be more like construction orange. So we're going to change that. But we're going to do that through the themes here. So we can add panels here, and we can make the changes here, and it would affect every panel we create. And that's not really what we kind of want to do, because the header labels are kind of special. You know, they're not going to. We want them to be consistent, but we want to be able to change them as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a unique type, our own type, to this panel here. And what we need to do is make sure that there is a panel there. That way, it can adopt the new one we create can adopt the properties of the panel that's built into the system. So what we're going to do is we're going to click on the plus sign again, and we are going to create panel, but we're going to make this header, and then add type. So this doesn't really have any properties itself, as you can see, until right here we add the base type, okay? Which means that, okay, so it doesn't know what properties to add because it doesn't know what kind of, you know, object this is. So we want to add a base type. We want to add a base type of panel. And oops, no, not that one. We want panel. All right, set base type. So now that we've done that, it adds the different properties that a panel has. Panel doesn't have any text, so those don't apply. So, but it does have the background panel like that this one does. So let's create a new background for it. Click on the plus sign, and then click on Use Style Box Flat, and then select that. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a yellow, or yeah, let's just leave it here for now so that we can change it in a little bit. All right, so you can see that it's not changing because what we're affecting is the panel header, not the panel. So what we need to do is on the slide master, we need to go to undo this right here, not undo the theme overrides, and do theme. Make sure that it's on. It should automatically detect it, but yep. So we don't need to add a new theme. We don't need to override the project theme that we have already. So I mean that is an option you can do. You can create a lot of different themes, one main project one and main, and then several other for different, you know, slides. But because we've uploaded it to the project theme, we have a type variations that we can select. So we click on panel header because that's what we created, and you can see that it's already updated. Oh, we got to save this first, and the other ones will be changing. All right, so we don't really like that gold color. We want more bright orange, construction yellow kind of color. All right, so that's how we're gonna change that. And the text, all right, so the label, not a big fan of the white on that bright orange, so we are going to well, again, instead of having the affecting the label on the theme, we're going to create a new variant of it. So we are going to do label, and this is something I always do for Godot is I always leave the name of the base type in there that I'm going to be creating. That way I remember, and then I'm going to put in header. Okay, so I'm going to create a new base type. And then we're gonna go to. Did I not create it? All right, let's try again. Label header and add type. All right, so now the label header is there. We are going to add the base type of label, and then set base type. That way it adopts the font sizes, but we want to change the color. So see, color, font color is black, or somewhat black. And now we need to update the theme variation. So where's that at? Let's see, save. And label header there. All right, as you can see, there's other built-in variations here. I've actually never really played with those. I'm actually gonna do that right now. Let's see. Pretty interesting. All right, so now we have that, and if we save this, the other ones should be changing as well. So there we go. That's your first 3 slides that you can create. All right, so see, for this one right here, it's going to be a little bit different. We still need the base properties here, you know, the header. We do need to make some small changes, which we could do through theme overrides. And let's go ahead and create this, because I want to show you how to create this right here. All right, so let's go in again with the inherited scene from the slide master. New inherited scene, and we do not need an image, and we don't need this right now. We do need the header. Let's see, copy that and paste that here. Again, word wrap, make it a little bit smaller. About right there, I think. But so we will need to decrease the font size a bit. So we're gonna go font size, and what the original was 90 something. So let's go 80. Let's go 74. All right, that should be fine right there. And eyeballing this. All right, so now we need to make these little boxes here. So what we're going to do is, for the background, we're going to create a panel, and then we're going to add some an image there, these icons, and then also a rich text label. So let's go and do that. Let's go ahead and add a panel for background, and again, it's up here. All right, come on. Alright, there we go. It wouldn't let me grab it earlier. Alright, so there's that right here. And then we need to add a rich text label. Oops. And we're going to keep this here. And what's one of the texts, just for mock-up purposes. Alright. And it keeps, as you can see, it keeps the or it inherits the theme properties. And then we need to add the little icons. Let me drag those. Let me drag those in here. Okay, let me see. Okay, where is it at? And here we go. All right, I'm dragging them into the images. And those are the small little icons. They all start with prevent falls. And I think this one starts with implement. So let's go ahead and do implement here. And there's a 2D image. All right, so let me see. And it does have a white background. Okay, so let's kind of size it here. And all right, we got it all kind of together. Now there are different options you can do to kind of make sure that everything is lined up properly. And but that's kind of a lot more than I want to go into right now. So we're just going to keep it as a panel, and then the rich text label as a child, and also the prevent falls as a child. and we're just going to duplicate this. So what we want to do is we want to create that little round edges here and also kind of change the color for this. So we can do a theme overrides, styles panel, because it's just for this specific slide that we have this kind of graphic. So we don't need to create a new, completely new type of theme property or object here. But you can if you want to do practice. But I'm going to go and just keep it this right here. So click on under theme overrides, create a new panel, just enable it, or you have to click on empty, new style box flat, and then we're gonna make this into kind of a lighter blue. I think it was about right there. And we're going to dig into a little bit more into these properties here. So you also have border width. You can change the border of the left, top, right, or bottom independently. And then also the border, you can change the border color here. We won't have one on this. I don't think it does. Let me see. Yep, it does not have one. But we do want to change the corner radius. So we are going to put in about 8. I think 8. It's good. And again, you can do them independently. It's a little bit less. So let's go ahead and make the corner radius a little bit more, maybe 16. All right, yeah, that's about good. You can expand the margins, which will just push things outwards. If you have multiple things in a, there's different containers where it kind of keeps things together. But if you need more space in between, you can do expand margins. The shadow, you can add a shadow to it if you want. Content margins, if you want to make sure that things are within a certain space, that way they're not touching the edge, especially for text. I always like to give a little bit of a space in there. I don't know if it works for panels, but I know it works for containers. So, but we're going to leave this right here like this. That way, it's just easier. So make sure to eyeball everything pretty well. All right, so it looks good to me. Let me just double check it. Yeah, I mean it is a little bit longer, but that's fine right here. All right, so we're going to, this is pop-up 1. All right, so it should automatically do pop-up 2. Yep, it does. All right, so pop-up 2, oops, make sure to click on the panel and not the text here, because remember it everything from the bottom up is the front. So if I click on this, let me see if I click on this, I guess not. It only works on the label here, or the text. So yeah, so if I click over here, I click on the panel. If I click here, I click on the label, which I don't want to. All right, so click on that, make it 3, and I think there were 4. So it looks like it's going to be a little bit like we create them a little bit bigger than the on the PowerPoint presentation. So we need some space here, so we can click on all of these here. Oops. And so they need to be a little bit thinner, which we can make over here under layout, transform size. Right now the X is going left and right, Y is going up and down, and how I remember this easily is from I think of X as a kind of a person stretching left and right, and then Y kind of a person stretching upwards. They're reaching their hands up in the sky. So we want 150. All right, and let's just make this an even 600, 1600. All right. So we need to move everything here. We can click on this down here, over here, to make sure we get all the images. Transform, and let's make that 70. And it all is in aspect ratio, because this anchor or the chain here that connects the scale point. So let's go with 100 on the width. Oh, that's position. I'm sorry. Let's go with a little bit smaller. Let's go with 0.6 right here, and that's a little bit better. And these, we're just gonna move them up and over. All right, so, and it looks like this one might be a little bit to the left. So we're going to make sure that the position is 140. There we go. Now we will need some space for the buttons later on. So let's make this a little bit thinner. So let's go with 100. Oh, that's a little bit too small. 25. All right, so let's click on these and make sure that they're there. And this is gonna let's click over here. It's a lot easier. Let's click on transform size 0.5. All right, so that's a little bit better. We just need to move them and make sure. Oops. Okay, and I'm missing one. Okay, let me see. I gotta click right on the color of it because the rest is transparent, so you're just clicking through it. All right, so now let's move this up a bit. And if you're moving something, if you hold Shift, it moves it. It locks it into an angle. So you can also do like left or top and bottom. So that way, it you don't have to adjust the Y position, I'm sorry, the X position later on. And there we go. We want to move this a little bit down. All right. So now we needed to change the text on this. Let's go here. And all right. And alright, we need to increase this, and then this last one, and there we go. Now depending on what you want to do, you could also if there's a lot of text on something like this, you can again use the theme overrides to make adjustments to the size of the font. That way it all fits within the whatever object you have. And now we need to change these right here. So this one is starts with understand, and this one starts with train, and this one starts with implement, and there, oh, not that one, use, I'm sorry, starts with use. All right, so that's our 4 slides here. Oops, let's save this. Yeah, we haven't saved this yet, so let's go to slides folder, and this one's slide 4. All right, so I'm going to stop with creating the slides right now. Let's go ahead and move on to navigation because this has been a long course already. But if you want to take a crack at it, go ahead and develop the next slide, and also maybe take a crack at the title if you want to. All right, but right now we have 4 slides, and they look great, masterpieces, and, belong in a museum kind of thing. All right, but now we need to figure out how to go from one slide to the other slide. All right, we don't need themes, so we can get rid of that panel now. That way we have more development area. All right, so again, we need to figure out how to go from one slide to the other slide. So what we need to do is create the navigation. Now there's so many different ways we're going to do this, but we're going to do this the simplest way possible. In the long run, for very complicated courses, this may not be the best idea, but this is just to kind of get your toes dipped into the programming side waters of Godot. So on your slide master, because we want to well, let's go ahead and start with slide 1, because again, I always like to show you why it's better to do it a certain way. All right, so let's on slide 1, we are going to add a script. So on the top root layer, add up here, we're going to click on the script button. We're going to attach a script, and we are going to call it navigation. And again, it's going to end with GD. Don't worry about inherits and don't worry about language. Just make sure it's GD script. And again, I like to organize my stuff, scripts, because we might end up creating quite a few. So just click on open, it will save it there, and click create, and there we go. So this is the script. Now you want to make sure it says extends control, because sorry about that, because the control has a lot of existing properties again, that we don't have to type the code from scratch. We don't have to create all these different properties that it can do, or all these functions that it can do already from scratch. So just extends control is fine up there, and what we need to do is we need to create some functions. Okay, so what we also need to do is create links to the slide 2 and the title slide later on if we want to. So what we can do is click on slide 2 here, hold control, and upload it, or release it here. And what it's going to do is create a variable already for you. And slide 2 for the rest of this script here, and it only affects this slide. So you could create different scripts for different slides, and it won't affect any other one. So slide 2 only exists in slide 1 so far, because that's the only one that has the script attached, or at least this script attached. If you create a different one for slide 2, it will be completely different. All the variables will live inside there. Now, one thing I want to show you is we created a script, and we automatically got sent to the script view, and all your scripts are here. Clicking on different stuff here will not affect or move the script that you're working on to the new one, unless you click on that specific script inside that new slide. So that's one thing. The scripts navigation, going between the different scripts you're creating, is different than moving around the different slides. You see, I'm going around, and it's not changing anything. These don't have any scripts on them, so but it stays with the one we created. All right, so again, slide 2 only exists in this script that we have, and it's only in slide 1 that we have attached to it. All right, so now what we need to do is go back to 2D real quick, click on control, click control A or a button up here to add a button, and there we go. We have a button here. Simple. We're going to move it down to the corner, because that's where all buttons belong, in the corner. And we are just going to put next. Oops. So there's next here. And for now, let's go and just go theme overrides. We'll create a button one later on, or you can create one yourself. And styles, I don't want to mess with styles right now. I just want to make it a little bit bigger so that we read it. There we go. So next. And just save it real quick. And now let's go back to scripts. Okay, so another thing we want to do is we want to, let's see, we need to create a action, just kind of like in storyline, an action or trigger that when this button is pressed here, it sends a message. And that's what we will be doing here, that this will receive the message when the button is pressed, and it's going to perform an action. So the first thing we're going to do is we're actually going to look for the signal for this button. Again, signals are very complicated, and that's something that you should probably familiarize yourself with, but you don't have to become an expert yet on it. So we have different signals. The signals is depends on what is done. So like you have a button down signal. So when the button actually gets pressed down, something will happen, whatever you want to decide later on. When it's pressed up, sorry, the little pop-up keys coming up. Button up is when you release the button. When it's pressed, that's just when it's pressed. There's also a toggle here, and there's focus. That means when somebody's the next button has focus, or the mouse is over it. And the same thing here, mouse entered and mouse exited. So we want something to happen when the mouse or this button is pressed. So for right now, let's click on you have to make sure you have the button selected. Click on node and then signals, And then on pressed, highlight that, click connect. And what we're going to do is we are going to select the control node up here that has the script already attached to it, and it's going to create a method already for you. It says on button pressed, do this. But we want to kind of change it a little bit. We want to make sure it's next button pressed, because we might have a previous button also, and we don't want to have them execute the same action. All right, so now we have the control selected. It's going to the script there, and it's going to create a new function that's called on next button pressed, and then just click connect. All right, so here is the function that it creates. It's just a simple kind of placement for right now. That way you can create your actions underneath. So let's just test it out real quick. So just to make sure that it's working, we're going to click on something basic, print, and we are going to type in with quotation marks button pressed. Now print is kind of a basic operation. I'm not sure of the word yet because I'm not a programmer, but I know enough to get myself into trouble. So print is kind of a basic operation for all programming languages. It's an easy way to figure out if something is working. It outputs it to a output here to let you know, hey, yes, this is kind of, this message sent. So if you have like 100 different actions that you want to happen, and something's not working the way you want to, you could put in a print message somewhere in between there to let you to print out certain variables, what's being stored as them, or little messages to, hey, you've gotten this far. So if you have, again, like 100 different functions going on, and you have 10 print messages between them, and if you only get 6, you can figure out, okay, these 6 are working, but 7, 8, 9, and 10 are not working. So it's a great way to troubleshoot. So let's go ahead and test this out. So just to show you how it works. All right, I'm going to decrease this a little bit. Oh wait, I cannot because we haven't set that other setting. Okay, so next is right there, and keep an eye on the output message here. So it's next. There we go. Button pressed. Button pressed. Button pressed. So now we know that it's connected correctly. So what we need to do is when the button is pressed now, there's a function, there's certain codes to change to the next slide. All right, so like I said, there's a code to change to the next slide, or new scene, new slide. Again, that's be using that interchangeably. So under function and under print, we want to go to type in get tree, because it will get the entire tree here, and then dot change scene to packed, because that's what this is right here, a packed scene. Actually, we might need to change that if it doesn't work. So we're changing. You can either press the arrow down to highlight that, and then we can either type in the new scene here. Actually, let's go ahead and do that just to show you there isn't really a difference here. Let me see, new scene. And if there are any, let me see. All right, so it was my mistake. We can't type in the string in here. We have to type in the slide or the variables for the scene that we created. So we can type in slide and then slide 02, and it should accept it. So what's great about Godot is if you make a mistake like this, it tells you exactly where. Like if I have my highlighted, click on here, it will highlight what you where it's incorrect or what line is wrong, and it will tell you exactly what's going on with it, why it's not accepting it. So for this one, it might be a little bit over your head because I mean, it takes a while to understand it. Some of it's really straightforward, some of it is not. So like it says an invalid argument change scene to packed function. Argument 1, which is this right here, which is kind of like a information or data bit, should be packed scene, but is a string. The when it's in quotation marks, that means it's a string, which means it's a text. This is a data bit or data or variable. If you don't understand variables, at the end of this lesson, I'm going to recommend a website that kind of breaks down GD script very well, and that's what I went through, and it helped out a lot. All right, so we have function. It will print on button pressed, and then what it'll do is get tree, which is get the entire thing, then change the scene to the packed scene, which is up here. All right, so let's go ahead and test this out. So there's the next thing here, and then we click on next, and there we go, objectives. It changed to the objectives. Now we can create one here too to change to the next one, change, and then create one, to 3, and change that to the next one. Or again, you can do the slide master. But how do we get around the slide? The variable here. We can't add the constant slide 0 to or constant slide variable here, like 3 and 4, and then we'll have to create a kind of a function that checks which one is currently on, or kind of an index number, kind of to figure out what slide it's on, and it's going to get really complicated really fast. So what we're going to do is we're going to keep this here. Okay, we're going to save this, but we're going to remove it from slide 01, and we're going to move it to the slide master. So let's on the top, click on here, or click on the root node, and click on the detach the script from the selected node. Now it didn't erase it, you still have it, so it's still in your file system. So what we're going to do is we are going to attach it to the slide master. Now you can what you can do is, because we have it down here, grab it from down here or from up here, and you can drag it over to the node, and now it's existing on the slide master. Now we also have to have the button here. We're gonna just take it out of the bottom of the slide 01 because it doesn't need it, and we are going to put it on the slide master, which will show up on all the other slides. So if I press save and then go to the other ones, and there it is, the next button's existing on all of them. All right, so we have that there, and one thing we need to do is we need to reset the signal. All right, so we're going to click on the button, make sure it's under node signals. On pressed, we are going to connect it, but the method already, or that function already exists in this script. So make sure we have that selected, and click on pick, and there it is on next button pressed. Press OK, and then click on connect, and you want to make sure that that's showing the signal there, and you can see that this right here is connecting from a signal. That makes it very helpful to kind of figure out what messages are being sent and what's connected to. All right, so again, how do we deal with from the slide master? How does it going to detect it's on slide 1, or not detect on slide 1, but how do we know which slide to go to next for each slide? How are we going to do that? So what we can do is there's an option called export variable. So if you click on the at sign and then click export, just like how it is there, and then export, and we type in var, and what we need to do is change this to next, actually underscore, or I'm sorry, small letters, next slide, and we need to change the way this is right here, actually, because we want to create pack scenes, and there's a way to make sure that only pack scenes gets saved into this variable. So we do the little colon, and actually let's make sure we have space so that way it's more readable. Colon, and then type packed scene. All right, so I want to show you this real quick. So when I'm up here and I save this, and this is showing an error here. Now it won't save correctly or update because there's an error, and that's something, again, kind of useful, a little bit frustrating sometimes. So what we need to do is change this, because this is the scene we want to change to next when that next button is pressed. Click, type in next slide, and again, it's since it's already a variable here, it's handy because you don't have to kind of remember, especially when you have a very long script and you don't want to remember all the variables. All right, so next slide. So over here, when you click on the top, you can see this new option that we created. Again, look at this is the navigation script that we created, and that's a new property that we've added to the main properties. It still has control and canvas and all this other stuff, but this is something we created. Now, right now, it's empty because we haven't assigned it anything. You can specifically assign it here, like equals, slide 01 kind of thing. But we don't want to do that. So what we can do is actually grab this and set inside there. Now it's saved. It's not saved on the script, but it's saved here in this scene. And so you can all these other ones that are already have these scripts attached, because we did save the slide master with the script, they all have this next slide. So now we can identify, okay, so slide 1, now the next slide would be slide 2. Slide 2 would be slide, where's that? Control. Slide 2 will be slide 3. Slide 3 will be slide, and again, gotta select that root node. And there we go. Slide 4. So now you got slide 1, slide 2, and they all go to the next slide. And we can just test that real quick by clicking on slide 1, press play, and wait, where's the next button? All right, so oh, it's for some reason, why is it on top? Because I think it's a new element. All right, let's move that down here. Same thing here. And I don't know why it saved up there. It should be saved. Actually, I think if you go to layout, transform, and set it to, no, the position's right there. That's weird. All right, let's ignore that for the moment. So now we move them all together. All right, so slide 1 is right there. All right, so let's start with slide 1. Again, it will save it when we preview it. So there's this right here. There's the next button. And there we go. There we go. And there we go. Now, if you want to test yourself, try to create the function for the previous, to create a previous button there. So if you want to, go ahead and pause it here, because I'm going to go ahead and do that. I won't explain everything because we've already explained it, so you can just watch. All right, so again, create a new export var calling previous slide. So pack scene. Okay, and we're gonna create just copy this, and we're gonna rename this one. It won't, oops, previous button pressed, and we want to store this right here. Okay, and Control D for this one, and we're going to move this one to the side here, and previous, and we need to change the node on that. Disconnect it and connect it again. You can double click or press connect. And again, pick. Wait, we need to save this. So and save the script here. So connect and pick. Okay, and connect. And to make things easier, I'm going to name this next button and oops. All right. So if you manage to do this on your own, great, awesome. If not, you can pause and review what I've done, but it's basically the same thing that we did before. So, and one thing I wanted to show you as well is you can see this little icon here. That's a signal. That's just letting you know that this is sending the signal out to somewhere. And you can look at that and click over here, and you can double click on this and it will tell you exactly where it's going. So this one is there and this one is there. So let's go ahead and save this. And I think again the previous the previous button's actually saved to where it was supposed to be. All right, I don't know. All right, so let's add the previous button or previous slide to this into the variable. We don't want this is not going to go anywhere yet, so we can either leave this blank or we can also hide this one for this specific slide. This one down with slide 1. This one is going to be slide 2 for the previous, and this one is going to be slide 3. Wait, slide 4. So we don't need it. Actually, we don't need a next one here, right? Let me see. Yep, because this one is slide 4, so we can just hide that button. And let's go from here. Actually, let's go from here. All right, so let's see what we have. And why is that not showing? Oh, it's up here for some reason. Well, let's go and test it out. There we go. Previous, 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 and next. All right. This one's not going anywhere. Let's see what's going on with that. All right. So for some reason, that's there. And next, we have this right here. Let's save that. I got to figure out why that's going again up there. And did this one have a next slide? Yeah. Slide 2. Yep. And why that defaulted, I don't know. But we're just going to move them over. We're not going to be very particular about where they're at right now. We just want to make sure it works. And we can make it pretty later on. Alright, so we don't need the next one on here, so we can hide that. And let's save all of them. Alright, so next, alright, previous, and it's not working. Why is it not working? Alright, so we are getting the message. You can see button press, button press, button press. So let's troubleshoot it. Let's find out what's going on. Alright, so this is the navigation here. Button press, get tree change scene to packed. Let me pause real quick and figure this out. Alright, I figured out what was going on. Alright, so what we're gonna have to do is we're gonna have to change something on the text or on the code. But I want to show you what I did to figure it out. Because again, being able to troubleshoot this this coding and the programming is very helpful. And how to do that is one of the a really key skill in being able to work with Godot. So what I did was I trying to figure out what's going on with the navigation. So currently the navigation is, it's just not working right now, or it would go one way but it wouldn't go back. And let's go and kind of redo what was going on real quick. Slide 2, that way we can see what's going on, and I'll show it just on these 3 slides here. So this is slide 2, previous, and slide 4. All right, so, and let's go ahead and just do this one right here. All right, so what I did was I added another print message, but I wanted to put figure out what the next slide was, or print out what the next slide is, just to make sure it's going in the right direction. Okay, so it's same thing with here. I wanted to print out what the previous slide is. What this will do is print out the data for that previous slide variable. So instead of like having a messages, you'd have to put in quotation marks, but with variables, you just put in the variable name. But I'm going to do a quick message here. Let me see. Going to, and then space. So if you're going to do a message with a variable, you want to also put a comma there, so that way it separates those that data, and or else it's going to, like, you're going to get an error, and it will show you exactly what's going there. Expected closing after a call argument. So it's not exactly like clear, but it just needs that, because it was expecting this right here at the end of it, because it thought it was the end of the message here. But again, it takes a little while to figure out how this works, but it's very worthwhile. All right, so let's play what's going on. All right, so if you let's go and move this up here so that way you can see the output messages. If I click on next, I get the message going to, or I misspelled going to, but going to pack scene, which is the official Godot name for like slide, I think it's slide 2, and that's what it is, pack scene number. So it gives us some random number. All right, so when I click on next, it has changed, so it's going to somewhere different. But when I click on previous, it's saying going to null. Now null means nothing, like blank, like empty space, black hole kind of information. So it doesn't have anywhere to go to. So I can click on previous and nothing happens. If I click on next, it'll go fine. But for some reason, every time I click on the previous one, it wasn't working. And it might there might be some workarounds with using packed scenes, which means you can just drag and drop these the whole entire scene folder into there. But we're going to work on a different method. So what we're going to do is we're going to change the pack scenes to strings. So up here, instead of pack scenes, we're going to type in string and make sure it's highlighted in green. So all right, so now that we've changed them to a different type, this is saying, yeah, we can't do that because we are looking for packed scenes, because it's saying change scene to packed. So what we need to do is change scene to file. And file. Oops. And now it's saying, okay, yeah, that's fine, because what this is expecting is a string, and since now this variable next slide is a string instead of a packed scene of variable type, it's saying, okay, now that's workable. So now that's working. But one thing is we got to reset or add the data in there again. So the easiest way to do this is you can't drag and drop this because it's not the right type. What you can do is copy path and paste. Actually, this is slide 1, so we're just going to paste it here just to have that information. The next one is, copy, and we're just going to paste it because it's in the same path, but we just need to change the name of it. And then we save it, go to the next one. This one is 2 or 3. And actually, let me increase this that way you can see it. All right, so that's 3 and 1. And then there's 4 and 2. And then we don't really need anything. We'll just leave it as 4 because we're going to hide that button anyways. And 3. So now we have all that information there. There probably is a way there definitely is a way to get it automatically through here so that we can just drag and drop. But I wanted to keep this as basic as possible. and maybe adding that option in the future lesson. We'll explore that. So let's just test this out. So let's start it with slide 01 and go from here. So next, all right, next, and now we go previous, next, previous, next. And yes, well, it would probably be best to make sure that these are on the same spot all the time. But right now we've got a working navigating course or project here. So you can go to the next slide, previous slide, whatever. And that's kind of it for this lesson. The next lesson we're going to add, well, this lesson we went over the themes, how to add themes to your project, how to make sure everything works on the same theme, how to create new kind of object themes for specific areas, and how rich text labels work, how to add panels, things like that. So the next lesson we'll go over adding animation, so that way we can animate these in sync with the audio, and we're going to add audio as well. And in the future we'll add a universal kind of course player, so that way you don't have to mess with this slide master here, and keep like the course objects in one area, and also how to add the progress bar at the bottom, and also how to add a menu system. So that is it for this lesson. Again, we covered quite a bit. It's actually a much longer lesson than I anticipated, but again, if you want to keep working, keep trying adding the other slides, by all means go ahead and do that. Get used to this, how this works, and look up, I highly suggest looking up tutorials on themes, on UI and control nodes, and if you want to look, go ahead and look at the animation player and see how that works. And again, there's a website called GD Quest, from zero to let me look at that specifically. I'll put that in the links. Let me see, where's that at? From zero. Yeah, actually it's GD Quest from zero, and I'll show you the thing real quick. So this is what you're looking for right here. Let me get it. Oops. All right, so this is what you're looking for right here. Learn GD script from zero, and it's gdquest.github.io. So it covers a lot of lessons, and it's explains programming very easily, and it's very helpful. It helped me out a lot, so I highly recommend it. So if you have any questions, any comments, just type them in the replies in the bottom, and I'll get the other lesson ready as soon as I can. And I almost forgot, I want to show you how to download from github.com if you don't know how to do that. I'll put a link to my GitHub repository, and if you go to the Godot practice, this is where all the audio, image, and PowerPoint files are at. So you just go to over here where it says code and download zip, and you will download the entire repository here. That way you can easily just keep follow along with the lesson. Also, the other one is lesson 1. If you go to this one right here, this has the completed lesson 1 that we just finished. That way, if something's going on with yours, you can download the entire thing. You unzip it, and then with the storyline project list, let me show that to you real quick. You go to import and then navigate to the project folder, something like this, and just select it. Just select current folder, and then when you click on import, it will import it in here. All right, and that is it.